Boom! Hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast, Season 4.
With your host, Byron Rodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children, or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out.
Today, I'm going to interview Daniel Coman. He actually now is working with me on a few projects in the executive protection space. He came to me a few years ago in the beginning and was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting into the industry. He's like, am I too old? Do you think there's opportunity? Do you think this could work? And, he is the big 6-0, entering the industry at 6-0. Is that possible? And I remember saying something along the lines of, yeah, I believe so for sure. And I remember being confident with that. And then I remember just telling him, hey, work the formula and come on into class. And here we are a few years later, and he's busier than he's busy. He's almost busier than he wants to be, it seems. So that's who we're talking to today. And for all of you who are wondering if you can get into the industry, this is an interview worth listening to because it'll give you some insight into how training day helped him and how, now he's got a career in the industry that he wanted. And it's fast paced. So it's an honor,
Same here.
I'm glad we get to have this conversation, Daniel. It's really an honor. And I've got more folks coming in, and it's just like it's turned out to be one of the coolest projects that I've worked on to be able to really help people dig into this career, man. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to listen to what you put last night, but I was like, he's awake early.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's the beginning of the year. I always dig in and try to set the vision and set those targets out there. So that's what I've been doing. It's been good. But the focus on this is I really want to help people understand kind of what your journey's been like and how the school and working with me has helped you, so people know what kind of value they're getting when they come in and all that fun stuff. And I might use this on the podcast. I might use this as a standalone piece of content. We'll just see where it goes, and then we'll know what to do with it, and then hopefully it gets the phones ringing for you as well.
Well, I mean, it's been a great journey. Remember in the very beginning when I asked you, it's like, hey, I'm in a place where there's a ceiling, there's nowhere to go. And I've been doing this for long enough, and whatever effort I put into that kind of stuff that I was doing before, it felt like I was just spinning my wheels. And, that comes with a lot of other stuff that usually some people are happy when they get to be a little older. Some people, they just want to settle into something and just be there and retire and all. And I'm just kind of the opposite guy. It's like, I will never stop. For as long as I can go, I will always go. And basically that's how, when you approached me and you said hello, Mr. Yeah, I always remember, because it's funny how you approach it in different, talking with people and all. You were all we met at church, and you were all, geared up.
Yeah.
And the first thing I saw, it wasn't that, it was your big smile.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I need to check this guy out, and I did right away. And I was like, oops, this and that. And then we started the conversation. I talked to you and all. And honestly, I joined the training day, like right in the beginning as you were putting the modules together. So
Yeah.
it was that fun part when's the next one,
Yeah, you were there in the beginning, man.
Yeah. I said, well, let's wait for the next one. Byron, when is it gonna be? What is it gonna be?
Yeah.
So why I signed up for that right away, it was because, based what I listened to a couple of podcasts, I talked to you a few times, and I just wanted to find out what I know and what I don't know. Because now, it's almost 3 years later, I met and I talked to people and I listened to people from all kind of all walks of life and with all kind of experience behind their back, and they're coming and they're asking the question, well, can I join? Can I come in? Is it too late? Well, what age I started, right? Physically, at 60.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and within 6 months, basically, I have work. I have more work than I can carry, and that it was just applying and following the formula. So I went through the training. Now I know I have a general idea what I have, what I can apply from my experience, and what I'm lacking. And everybody should do the same thing. I was thinking sometimes about the people that, let's say, they're not using it, they're just going through it and they're paying the money, and they say, that's valuable in my mind. Why? Because now that you don't want to do that kind of stuff. Now that you're the kind of guy that I'm looking for something else.
An opportunity.
Yeah, running around doing those kind of things. No, I want to find a stable place. I want to find a cozy place. I want to do this or that. So even that brings the value.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a way. It's not, but it's plenty.
Yeah.
It's plenty to give you an idea of what you have, what you need to build on and all, and then tagging along with you, to the most of the symposium and the training and all that. That was cool. Also expands, the local area as you go. If people only follow you as you go training here and there, it's like, oh, this range is close to my house. Oh, these people are doing good stuff, and that's what I was looking for. So in different ways, going through your program and staying in touch with you benefits them. So you're doing the job there. You're absolutely doing it.
This is my MCK. There are many like them, but this one is mine. Oh, dude, get it right. This is my MCK. There are many like it, but this one is mine. If you've got a firearm sitting around, a pistol that you are not doing anything with, get an MCK. They make them for every single model. If you want a micro conversion kit that will turn your handgun into a force multiplier, get one, man. They are ultra affordable. CAA MCK micro conversion kits are changing the game, y'all. So if you don't have one, you need to get one. Get one. Your women, children, people that are less physically potent will be able to fire your firearm to farther distances with more accuracy. You will be able to fire your firearm to farther distances with more accuracy. I want to get one of these into the hands of 100,000 more protectors this year, because ultimately we are only as good as the nation is only as good as its protection. Your home is only as safe and as good as your ability to protect it. MCK, go get one. Drop your handgun in. Take it to the next level. Out. Boom.
Yeah, man. What would you say to the guys that are coming off of another career or that are, older that are just now wanting to get into this executive protection game? What advice would you give them, or in terms of getting into the industry?
Well, to me, if they are at the point where they have the tools, then you just go ahead and, as you get in, be humble and learn, and don't look at who you were. Just look at yourself as a brand new person entering a brand new industry. Even if, back in the back of your mind, you think, and you not only think, but you might know stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You come from a whole other two careers at the time,
Right. And some people, they specialize in one thing or another, from law enforcement, from military and all that. And they have a lot more experience than, others. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you are entering a new industry from the bottom, and then, you have to absolutely just go back and work the formula. Mm-hmm. And know what's going on. I follow like step by step. I did set up a LinkedIn, and I did set up a resume. I did mm-hmm. set up all the tools, and I went to one of the guys that, as you recommended, and he mm-hmm. did a great job for me. Mm-hmm. And then also I subscribed to not only, I follow on LinkedIn, but we have one or two other services locally here, and you got to know the industry. You got to know who's hiring, how much they're paying, what they're saying. Some of them you might not want to work with. Some of them are too far or too close. Yeah. There's different dynamics, so you have to kind of get in there mm-hmm. and learn and work that part of the formula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he's saying formula, you guys, he's talking about what we're learning inside training day in terms of how to market yourself and how to find opportunities. And it's a formula that you rinse and repeat until it starts working. And sometimes it takes a little bit, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, but when the traction happens and you've kind of made those circles and you've worked it for a while, then what happened, Daniel? How did it work out?
Yeah, that's how it worked out. And there are many things that come in play, in the beginning, I could say, in a sense, looking back, I was probably a little shy of just jumping in, with the whole thing, not only sticking my toes into it, because you apply for this company, then you wait for something to happen.
Right.
Then magic doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Take all the irons, put them all in the fire, and finding them, putting them in there,
Mm-hmm. And then if that doesn't happen the way you think it would happen, what do? You go to the next one,
I think it's valuable too to have someone, because you would come back to me every once in a while and be like, well, like in the weekly meetings even, and I think there are two things. One, I knew you would succeed once someone gave you a chance because your work ethic, you're extremely dependable and you have such a great work ethic. I was like, this guy's going to be awesome. Once these employers know they can depend on him, they're going to want him everywhere. and you say yes, and you make it happen. So I was like, I just need to get him in the spot in front of the right people and he's going to be good. So if he keeps working the process, they're going to see that. The second thing I was going to say was I think also one of the values of the course is, while you're on this journey and you're in all this uncertainty, like this uncertain territory, right? Seed, time, and harvest, everyone dies in the time part, like you wanted the thing and then you started working for it. I think one of the valuable things about it is you had me around you. You had me on the 2-week meetings to be like, no, keep the faith, keep pushing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a big thing, to just have, difference between that and taking a course and never hearing or never being able to get in touch with anybody, even that moral support, it's huge. It's big in my eyes, because it's there, it's simple, and then keep it simple and stay with the stage you're at. If you need to go back and review the training, it's like, where are you now? You are in, the beginning, you're looking for work, you're applying. Focus and concentrate on that in the first place, Right. And then I'm not saying not study and not go over everything else, but it's a lot to chew on, and now you need work.
Yeah.
So focus, go back and go and apply that formula and get work.
Yeah.
And once people you apply with this, I mean, there are some that I'm still on the roster and I've done one thing for them or just 2 or 3 things, and and it's still there. But the way I worked it, once I got some work, I kept on building. So basically I ended up being signed up at one point, and I still am with 5 different companies.
Yep.
And then your words, chase the pager.
So yes, walking all the doors, man. And then social dynamics on the details. I'm social dynamics is the hidden art of success in this industry, because then you get on a detail, you meet people, and based on those relationships and interactions, that's how everything starts coming back to you, have you seen that dynamic?
Absolutely. It's, no doubt about it. It's, and even it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, a conversation that, is going to bring you from here to the sky. It can be just a, work kind of relationship. Now, that person, now you know that he's there, he's doing something else, you introduce yourself, you talk. I mean, obviously, if you work, anywhere on a team, there's more people. So you end up talking about stuff anyway, because that's what it is, right. Unless you're completely separated all the time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you either, ask for the information if you don't have it, or you have a roster of the detail with, who's there and all that, and you can always reach back to one or another. And, I even said, hey, I have your information, do you mind if I keep it? Let's stay in touch. And I haven't had, nobody picked up on me for any reason yet saying no, I want to ever talk to you again. I want to see you again, And it's not always immediate value.
Yeah.
But there you are,
Exactly. So, not always immediate value, but I think that's why so it's like something that I did to build my career by the grace of God, just understanding different rules of social dynamics and relationships and relationship equity. But I think when someone's laying out a path for you to see like these are the things that you can do to build a career, it's almost like you start to become more deliberate about it, and you can make like an art form, and you can actually create this storm with more deliberation and more certainty than rather than just being like, I'm going to intelligently do this and see if it works. I think that's really the advantage of having those social dynamics courses in there. What would you say about the, I kind of want to dig in a little bit about, because like one of the things that's always impressed me about you is what I mentioned earlier. Well, one, your dependability, your work ethic, you're a man that I know I can trust, your character, and those things are becoming more and more difficult for employers like, myself to find and things like that. I know I can recommend you to someone, and you're going to hold the line, and they're going to be happy that I introduced you to them. Where does a lot of that come from? Would you be willing to share a little bit about your past and a little bit about like the inner stuff that makes, Daniel such an awesome guy to work with?
Well, I heard a lot of stuff about, what other people said and all that. And, a lot of it was like, in the back of my mind or in my heart, I was a protector. I was, this and that. Actually, the protective word attract me to what you do, and that was one of the major things I was thinking about it. I said, well, for a long time I was just protecting the tribe and fighting for it and all that. But my life story is a little bit different, than to condense it in a few minutes. I mean, I was born in Romania, under the communist regime at the time, and my parents divorced when I was 2. I grew up with a stepfather, and my mom and my stepfather never really got along. They had a kid, which is my stepbrother, and kind of once he was born, all attention went to him. And, like everything that we did bad, I kind of paid for it.
Yeah.
So my joke in a sense is that, I grew up in a perfect dysfunctional family by American standards.
Yeah. Which is a lot of people have to deal with that.
Yeah. And that kind of brings you into a place where, it's like, what do you do? Where do you go? I rebelled when I was a teen a lot, just because I wanted to. I revolted against that system and everything else, and basically one thing that came good from there, that was the first step, was the fact that I decided that if I ever have a family, I'm going to fight for it. But growing up, I was the super shy guy that if my parents sent me someplace, I would go to the guy's doors, not even knock, turn around and lie that they weren't home.
And just run away. Yeah.
And just run away, And I always liked watching people, but I never wanted to really be involved, And like one of my goals as a teenager was to never work in an office and never work with people.
That's awesome. So outside work. Country, I don't know.
Whatever, just stay away. And I, like I said, I can watch, but I'm not going to get involved,
Yeah.
But life is different, and at one point in my path, through my teenage years, I joined the kayak club. I met these 2 guys. That was my sport, actually. We, lived on the river, and I always liked the water. And I met these 2 guys. Through them, I met the family. Through the family, I met the one that's my wife at this time. So along the way, I was a time when I was sick and tired of my life the way it was. And I asked myself if there's a God, because those people that I befriended, they were Christians. So basically that was one of the things that turned my life around. I had the conversation with that supreme being one time in anger, because I was hoping that I took my wife now, not even a girlfriend really at that time. And I was so convinced that she's going to come to see a movie with me. And she decided to go to the choir rehearsal at church. And that got me so angry.
Jesus, stole my girlfriend.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I mean, this is, what is he seeing at these people over here? And that was the beginning of my journey, to just really seek if there's anything out there,
Yeah.
In the meantime, before we were friends, more a closer boyfriend, girlfriend. I was drafted in the army back in Romania, and that's what it was. And that's another story by itself, because the army there, it wasn't what it is here.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, pretty wild. I started in January. So between 18 and 20 years of age, you get a letter, you show up at the recruiting center, you don't know what branch you're going to. You don't know where you're going. Your parents don't know where you're going. When they get the first letter about a month later, then you know.
Wow.
So I ended up, like a part of our border patrol as part of the army.
Okay.
And that's where I went. And I went on the northern part of Romania for the boot camp, just the border with Russia at the time, USSR. And it was cold. It was miserable, Yeah, one thing that we didn't have, it was, we never had like here, you have a medic with the unit.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have that,
Just don't die.
No. So, the second day, when we lined up and the captain came and said, "Hey, welcome to the Romanian army. So from here on, you have 99 duties and one right. And the only right you have is to execute the 99 duties."
Golly, man. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're freezing, and there's no medic anywhere.
Yeah.
So die.
But that was the first time I experienced structure in my life.
Yeah. That make a man out of you.
And I liked it,
Yeah.
Even though from the beginning, people, like I was telling you, I was shy and all.
Mm-hmm.
And from the beginning, people, I learned quick to handle the weapons and everything else. And then the corporal would put me to train the other guys and he would kick back,
Yeah.
And I hated that. I was like, why me?
Yeah.
But see, looking back, that builds character and builds mindset and builds other things into you.
Yeah.
And so once I was done with the service, I started to chase this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years later, we got married. A week before we got married, we got baptized, and in the meantime on the journey, I realized that there is a God and there is a Christ, and in that sense we're sharing the same faith.
Yeah.
And that changed radically my life. And then we got married, and a million stories, but 37 years later, married to the same lady, 5 kids, 5 grandkids. We keep on going.
Yeah, man. Outstanding. And didn't you escape Romania, like hiking mountains and?
Yeah, I lived in the Romania was split into about 3 regions, and the part that was, and maybe this is not good for some people, but part that I lived in, it was Transylvania.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I grew up in that part of the country and all that. Nothing to do with Dracula and the stories.
Yeah, they got Draculas up there. Isn't that where he came from?
But that part of the country had more Western influence. On the Austrian and German empires, and they were German people that were transferred there to live, and from Hungary. And growing up, I never really blended there. When you get this feeling, it's like, this is not the system that I can live in.
Yeah.
My stepdad was a complete atheist, and we would have hours of discussions over what's right and what's wrong and all that, and I just couldn't understand that. It didn't click. So growing up, I tried to leave, but I never had the opportunity. And then I got married, and that changed the dynamic, But this particular year in '86, our first son was born, and it was in the winter. And we ended up doing that winter with 4 hours electricity, no heat, no hot water. This is 4 seasons, snow, cold for months, weather, warming the cloth diapers under the sheet. So, we changed the baby, warming the bottle in our arms, holding it. Yeah. And that was the deciding factor for me. I just prayed to God and say, God, it's a whole wide world out there.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to come to the United States, and the next summer, within 3 days, things came together. and I left my wife with the family. She didn't know at the time that I was going to leave that day, because I didn't want it to burn her,
Yeah.
So I mean, my son was 6 months old, and she was pregnant with the second one.
Oh boy.
But I had the opportunity, so I took it. And yeah, we went across the mountains and we got into the old Yugoslavia, and we went through a process over there. And that's a whole different story of God, because we wanted to come to the United States, but we were like grouped based on the countries that were taking refugees. So we could have ended up in Australia, Sweden, Canada, anywhere. And when our group turn came, the American consul took interviews, and we ended up coming here. So that was a blessing by itself.
Wow.
Then I got my family and my two kids at the time, and got three more. So.
Outstanding. Yeah, man. I wanted you to share that just so people can, one, identify with you, and then two, kind of hear, just the things, the gears that have turned and the things that have helped you become who you are, man, because you're quite an amazing man. I really count you as a good friend and a good guy to be able to depend on and work with. So I think these stories are so tremendous. I wish we had like more time to go into the details, but that's like an adventure. I mean, that's quite a life.
And at the same time, it's a regular guy's life. It's not a super ninja anything. It's a regular guy's life that he does whatever he needs to do to just move forward and make a better life for his family. And simple like that.
It is. It's simple, but it's all the good stuff, man. I love it. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. Honestly, it means so much to see you come from that day when you're like, hey, I have this goal. I think I want to have this goal. What do you think? And me being able to be like, yeah, I think it's going to work. And then to now where you're like, I'm working 60 hours a week for multiple companies and the system works, man. That's what I really want people to know, is that they can write a new story for themselves and they can have what they want, if they just, try it out, apply it, come join us, work with us and apply it. What would you say to that in closing?
And I that brings a different kind of freedom, I can tell you, because in corporate world, you can be stuck and you can be unhappy for many reasons, and some of them, some people were making good money and they're coming out with their retirement, and others end up with nothing, and basically I went through different things in my life, and in my 40s I had a back problem and I lost everything I built and I started to rebuild again.
Wow.
But and that's how I ended up in the security industry, the second time around, so I ended up raising 5 kids and all, on this. But, like I said, at one point, no matter what you do within your industry, and I'm talking about myself now, you're if you're that kind of person that wants to continuously grow and learn, you are stuck in my mind. And that's my experience, to where you either settle for what it is and stay there until you retire and you're good with that, or you have to look for different avenues, Yeah. And, last summer, I just broke away from that. And I said, you know what? I mean, you either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And
and you went all in, because you were with us at all the symposiums. You were with it. Like, you went all in, man. I remember seeing you being like, okay, he's rolling with us. And you went all in with everything. So looks like it paid off, man. It's an honor.
that's the freedom that I in my heart. And, it's like, it's also exciting to be able to, man, this goes for any age, build something from the ground up, you start in the industry. I mean, you don't get the super cool jobs all the time and all, but it pays the bills, it takes care of the business, And
Desk
you go there, and I went from like running teams of people and always worrying about, like you were sharing the other day about you know, covering and plugging the holes and all
yeah,
that, to
man.
being that plug,
Yeah, yeah,
And now you call me and I'm the plug. I'm not the guy plugging the holes, even though I never minded. I always loved working with people and building and,
yeah.
doing that part of the job. But now transitioning, I I decided to stay and to understand what the business is all about,
Mhm.
who's there, how people are, how they're running it, learn, and then let them at one point, if they choose to, and say, hey, Daniel, can you help with this? I mean, I've done payroll, I've done all kind of things along the teamwork,
Yeah,
and it's like, hey, can you help me with this? Okay, then we'll talk about it. But
yeah,
so it does give you that freedom, but with that, just be humble, do your job, be
yeah,
observant, you
yeah.
know.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the learn. That's a never ending story.
Never be afraid to continue learning and continue growing,
Hmm.
Yeah, man. Awesome, brother. And yeah, no, you have all these administrative skills from running some pretty larger, site security details and things like that too. So if you guys are listening and you need some administrative help, if I haven't already snatched them up, Daniel's got.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much my experience was in the gated communities area, and I work in Newport, coast. I worked with, I mean, wealthy people.
Yeah,
Most of my the last 20 years when I started back to do, security work and stuff. But that, with that said, even though, you have the glory of being the next step guy, and the Mr. Supervisor,
yeah.
there's limitation too with that,
Oh
and
yeah.
as much as you're trying to do, again, for some people, that I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Just it's got to
but
be the right thing for the right person.
yeah, it's gonna be the right thing for the right person. The most of the major companies now that are there, they have limited, benefits, limited income, limited everything. If you're good with that, you're good. You
Right.
know, if you're not good with that, you're gonna just frustrate yourself. So you gotta find something else.
Find a way to the next level, and we have a
Yes, sir.
way.
And that's the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So join us, y'all. Training Day, executiveprotectiontrainingday.com is how you join us. I'm sure there's a link in the write-up and in the bio, and I'm sure Art will put one on the screen. It's awesome to spend this time with you, man. Like I said, it's an honor. I'm proud of the outcome. Looking forward to watching how high you'll go and what you'll get out of this industry until you're done with it. I'm sure you're making awesome contributions. You are for me and my company, and more people will probably reach out to you after hearing you on this thing. Good men are hard to find. Good agents are hard to find these days. So yeah, Daniel, any final thoughts before we close this bad boy out?
Just want to say thank you. I appreciate it, from the bottom of my heart. And it's yeah, as far as for growth, I mean, I'm open, but I'm gonna let the wave take me.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna consider things that as they come. I really love being able to like have some flexibility, you know. But again, there's the other side of the flip side of the coin, where people are looking for something super stable and stuff like that. And I see that's out there as well, because I
Mhm.
see the other guys are really, but I really love, the fact that I was able to like kind of book myself 1 month at a time, or less, and fill in. And that comes with, when you work with more than one company, a
Mhm.
little bit of like, I'm not saying bad feelings, but yeah, but it's always exciting,
Yeah.
and sometimes you want to help this person more than the other person. And that's another thing I was gonna kind of close with it,
Yeah.
The fact that I love that a lot of people are a lot more flexible than the industry that I come from.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tell them I can't do it because they're more understandable.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was like fighting for a day off, fighting for this, fighting for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just like bad stuff in there, bad feelings.
Yeah.
And here's like, hey Byron, can you work with me? I can't do this because I have this coming up, or this is emergency came up, and it's like, okay, fine, I'll go to the next person.
Yeah.
And there's no bad feelings there,
And they're fine with it.
That's great. That's awesome.
It's nice. Well, because too, as employers, we know like the more, it's kind of interesting because on one hand, the easier you are to work with as an agent, the easier it is for an employer to work with you, the more he's going to want to work with you. But also, the easier I am as an employer for you to work with and the better our relationship is, the more you're going to say yes when I need you. Yeah. So it's really like this reciprocation that's happening where it's like, okay, especially if I hear that you can't do it because you already have committed to another detail and you actually have integrity, and then that's a really respectable reason, and I hope that you do that for me when another employer hits you up, and you're
absolutely.
So it's really this reciprocation of relationship. We need each other like almost equally, really. And I think employers really know that in our industry too. And so we really just try to make it, at least the guys that I run with, the group of employers I run with out here in SoCal, we just want to make our company a positive experience as much as possible because agents have options.
Yeah. And that's how you build a community.
Yeah, man.
That takes it to the next level that you're working on, and you build a community. And that's, it adds up, it adds layers.
Yes.
So, yep.
Well, awesome, brother. Thank you so much for your time, Daniel. It's an honor to be connected with you. It's an honor to do these interviews with students of the league that go through the training and have that experience and achieve the things that they're going for in a short amount of time. And brother, I look forward to seeing you at church or on a detail or on our weekly, call-ins when we meet with the class, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yo, if you're a private security professional wanting to take your game to the next level, go to executiveprotectiontrainingday.com to check out my personal success package for private security professionals. Check it out, executiveprotectiontrainingday.com. And remember, y'all, hard skills do save lives, but soft skills get you paid. Boom. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry and also to making America a safer place. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can, because it makes all of these things possible. Thanks for those contributions. Yo, and before we go, I got a shout out to the sponsors, starting out with Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. They truly are the evolution of the rifle. Use Byron for 10% off. Grayman & Company, the most comfortable tactical suits in the game. Use Byron for 10% off with them. Until the next podcast, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade. Out.